So a very good morning to all. In this video we shall cover the bioassay of acetylcholine by interpolation method. Coming to the aim of the experiment is to estimate the concentration of an given unknown sample of acetylcholine by interpolation bioassay method using cork helium. So the requirements of the experiments are as follows. Animal required is cork. As such, we are going to obtain the tissue from the slaughterhouse, so actual animal is not required, but the tissue is isolated from the animal cork. Solutions required are thyroid solution and acetylcholine, which is drug under study. Next, the apparatus required are dissection tray, gimbal lever, kymograph, Sherrington's revolving drum, reservoir to keep the physiological salt solution, the stands to hold the reservoir, then the forceps, petri dish, scissors, pipettes, thread, surgical needle and plasticine. Coming to the principle of the experiment, now as we have already covered the introduction to the bioassays. So over there we have discussed the different methods of bioassay, under which one of the method was graded response, that is obtaining the responses of the drug at different doses in the same tissue. So in the same tissue or the same preparation, the different doses of your drug under study are repeated. Okay, so over there we have seen that again there are different methods under the graded type of bioassay. Okay, we have seen that there are the types of bioassays like matching bioassay, bracketing type of bioassay. Okay, then the interpolation bioassay, 3-point bioassay, 4-point bioassay, 6-point bioassay and so on. So when you compare this particular interpolation bioassay, the advantage of this method is that it is less time consuming. Okay, so within less time period you will complete the bioassay. Yet though you finish it in a very short period of time and less number of doses are required, yet it is an reliable type of bioassay. That is, you will get a better result when you compare this interpolation bioassay with a matching type of bioassay. Okay, of course the 3-point, 4-point bioassay, they are obviously better as compared to interpolation bioassay. They give more accurate result, but when you compare interpolation bioassay with the matching type of bioassay, obviously interpolation bioassay will give you more reliable result or more accurate result. Okay, in a sense the advantage of this particular assay is that you check the sensitivity of the tissue, which is not done in the matching type of bioassay. That's what we have seen. That's a drawback with the matching type of bioassay. So here in this case, in case of interpolation bioassay, you check the sensitivity of the tissue by carrying out the DRC, dose response curve, or the concentration response curve of a known agonist. That is a standard preparation, is a standard drug, okay, of which you know the concentration. So by carrying out this DRC, you are checking the sensitivity of the tissue, that it is giving appropriate responses. As you increase the dose, the response is also increasing. That can be clearly identified from the dose response curve of the standard drug. And if the linearity of the curve is good, one can even estimate the accurate concentration of the test substance or the unknown sample. Now in this type of bioassay, that is in the interpolation bioassay, a concentration response curve of a standard substance is first established. As we have already seen, that's the main advantage over here. You check the stability of your tissue or the sensitivity of your tissue. So you first carry out the concentration response curve or the dose response curve of your standard. That is, you add several doses of your standard in a graded manner, that is in the increasing proportions in geometrical progression. That is, you go on doubling the dose and you check what are the heights of the responses which are obtained because of contraction of your tissue. Next is the test response is recorded. Say 2 to 3 test responses are recorded. Okay, and this selection of the test dose, it should be such that it lies in between the linear portion of your doses which you have selected for the standard DRC. This will be more clearer when you have a look at the actual responses. That will make it more clear. Okay, so one thing you should take care over here is the volume or volume of the test substance which you select, that should lie in between the doses which you have selected for your standard. Okay, now coming to the drug under study, that is acetylcholine. Now acetylcholine, as you are already aware of that, it is a major transmitter at the parasympathetic system. Okay, so it is released as a transmitter and it can bind to the cholinergic receptors to elicit its action. Cholinergic receptors are of two types, muscarinic and nicotinic receptors. So acetylcholine can bind and stimulate both the types of receptors. Now the tissue which we have selected, it is the intestinal smooth muscle. So this consists of the muscarinic receptor M1 and M3 subtypes, onto which acetylcholine will bind and it will stimulate and produce the contractile activity. Next part is the experimental conditions. So what are those different experimental conditions which you need to maintain to keep your tissue alive? Now you are carrying out an experiment on an isolated preparation, not a part of the ileum. So you need to keep that tissue alive outside the body of that cock. So you need to provide all the necessary experimental conditions so that your tissue will remain alive. It will not die and it will respond appropriately. So firstly, the animal which you are using, it is cock. Obviously, that's we have seen. The muscle isolated, the tissue isolated is the ileum. Okay, that is the small intestine part. The ileum we are isolating over here. Then the physiological salt solution which is used over here is Tyrod solution. Volume of Tyrod solution which is kept constant is 20 ml in your organ tube. And the temperature required is 30 degrees Celsius. Basal tension is 0.5 grams. Magnification value which is adjusted is 5 to 10 fold. So magnification value in the sense your liver, when you consider your liver, it is the ratio of the distance between the fulcrum and the writing point to the distance between the fulcrum and the point of attachment of the tissue. So roughly it should be 5 to 10 folds to magnify your response, because the amount of contraction will be very very small. So it should be visible on your chymograph paper. So you need to magnify the responses. So this is the magnification which is supposed to be selected. Then the doses of acetylcholine selected is in the geometric proportion, as I have already told you all earlier. That is, if the first dose selected is 0.1, you should go on doubling the further doses. So next dose will be 0.2, next will be 0.4, thereafter 0.8, then 1.6, 3.2, 6.4 and so on. So you need to double the doses over here. Next is the lever which is used is gimbal lever. Oxygen supply is by using aerator. You need to bubble the air continuously so that your tissue gets the oxygen supply. Then this is very important, the time cycle which is observed, okay, for your response. Okay, say this is your response which you obtain. This is the baseline. You add the drug, you get a response. Your tissue will contract, which will be recorded in the form of a curve on your chymograph paper. Okay, so it will raise the pointer at a certain level depending upon what dose you are adding. After that, you need to wash your tissue, bring it back to the baseline. Okay, so that will ensure that your drug has been washed away so that you can take the next response. Okay, your the drug which is added to the previous dose, that should be totally removed from here. So you have to ensure that washing is complete by bringing your pointer back to the baseline, previous baseline. So this indicates that your drug has been removed if you get a straight baseline. Now let us see what this time cycle is. Okay, so now this time cycle again varies depending upon your type of tissue. Okay, So now first point is at 0 minute, when you actually start a particular response. So this will hold true for every response. Okay, and the height will depend upon the amount of drug which you are adding over here. Now at 0 minute, when you start your experiment, that is at this particular point, at 0 minute, you're raising the 0.5 gram weight, that is the basal tension. You need to raise it when you are taking the baseline or when you're recording a response. Your basal tension should always be raised. Okay, it should not be hanging onto your liver. It is used for relaxation of the tissue basically. Okay, so it should be kept on top of your organ bath when you're recording the baseline or your response. Okay, now at 0 minute you need to record a baseline first, okay, without your addition of your drug. So at 0 minute, raise that 0.5 gram weight, that is your basal tension, and start the kymograph. Okay, so it will run a baseline for 30 seconds. Ideally the baseline is run for 30 seconds. Then at 0.5 minutes, that is after 30 seconds, meaning 0.5 minute, half a minute, at this particular point, you need to add the acetylcholine and start the kymograph. Okay, so it will run the response. So depending upon the amount of drug which you have added, it will record a response. So higher the concentration, higher will be the response. Okay, so height of the response will be more depending upon the dose of your acetylcholine which you have added over here. So this particular response is recorded for a period of 90 seconds. That is, at 0.5 minute you have started recording a response, okay, for 90 seconds. So at 2 minutes your response will come to an end. Okay, so at this particular point you need to stop the kymograph. Okay, there are some machines nowadays available which are automated, which in which you need to set the baseline time and the response time, and automatically the kymograph will be stopped. Okay, otherwise you need to stop it manually, lower the 0.5 gram weight which you have kept on top of your organ bath. So that's used for washing or for relaxation of your tissue. So at the time of washing you need to lower that 0.5 gram weight and wash the tissue, drain the tube and again refill it with the fresh thyroid solution. So this you need to continue till your pointer comes back to the previous baseline. So this indicates your entire acetylcholine which is responsible for recording of this response, it has been removed from here. Okay, so it will come back to the baseline. So at round about 5 minutes you may finish the washing. So around about 3 minutes time may be required to wash your tissue. So at this particular point you can start with a new response now. Okay, so again whatever you are performing at 0 minute, that is raise the weight and start the kymograph. So this is the starting point of your next response. Okay, so this is how the time cycle is calculated. So it's for 5 minutes, in the sense 30 seconds is for your baseline from here to here, 90 seconds is for your response, that is from this point at 0.5 you start with your response for 90 seconds. So that is added to your baseline time, that is 30 seconds. So 30 plus 90, and thereafter washing period, okay, to bring it back to the baseline. Maybe 180 seconds are required. So it may change depending upon the tissue. Okay, so totally it will be 300 seconds, which comes to 5 minutes. So one time cycle, okay, or one response will take you roughly about 5 minutes time to complete. So this is to do with the time cycle. And this is the assembly which is used for isolated tissue experiments. So this is the Sherrington's revolving drum onto which you keep your or you place your kymograph paper, which is continuously revolving depending upon the speed which you have selected. Ideally it should be 0.12 mm per second, which can be set over here. So this is a kymograph onto which you are supposed to place this Sherrington's revolving drum. Then this is a digital temperature controller. okay, wherein you need not adjust the temperature. So both of them are synchronized, so that automatically the temperature in the water bath will be adjusted, and it is maintained by this digital temperature controller. This is the single unit organ bath. Okay, this is the organ tube into which you place your tissue. This is the warming coil, okay, through which actually your physiological salt solution will pass, so that it will get heated to the temperature of your water bath which you have maintained. This is the heater, okay, which is actually heating the water in this water bath. So this is the outer jacket which contains water, and this is the pump for continuous rotation of the water. This is the lever and the tissue holder. Okay, so your tissue is tied in between the tissue holder, the bend of tissue holder over here, and your lever. Okay, so this is to do with the assembly. Now coming to the procedure. Okay, so as we have seen under the principle that a DRC of standard is recorded. Okay, so the first step will be to record the DRC of your standard, that is of your known concentration, as acetylcholine solution with known concentration, and you are estimating the concentration of an unknown solution of your acetylcholine. So you need to compare it with a standard. That's what we have seen under the principles of bioassay. Okay, so first step is to record the DRC of standard. Okay, now while recording the DRC of standard, first dose which you are selecting, say for example if it is 0.1 ml, it is supposed to be repeated till you obtain the same heights or approximately same heights for the two consecutive responses. Now why this is done? This particular step is known as to determine the equipotency. Okay, to ensure whether your tissue is stable. So when you repeat a particular dose 0.1, obviously when the concentration of the drug is remaining same, the height of the response also should remain same. Practically it may not be possible, slight variation may be there, okay, but plus minus say 1 mm is alright. Okay, so you should repeat the first dose till you get same heights or approximately same heights for two consecutive responses, one after the another. So that's very important. Okay, next is, once you ensure the stability of the tissue, you can carry on with the DRC further. So you can add progressively the doses in the increasing proportion, that is in the geometric proportions. Okay, so next dose selected is 0.2, then 0.4, 0.8, 1.6, 3.2 and so on till you get the maximum response. That is till you obtain the ceiling effect. Now what do you mean by ceiling effect? That is when the ceiling effect is the one when you increase the dose but it does not produce any increase in the response. Further increase in the response is not obtained. Like say for example, if you get a height of 20 mm with 1.6 and if you get the height of 19 mm with 3.2, okay, if it is 20 with 1.6 and 19 with 3.2, so the height is decreasing. Okay, so that indicates that even if you increase the dose, the height of the response is not increasing. So that indicates the ceiling effect. Okay, so you may go up to the ceiling effect. Next is to record the response of certain volume of test solution. So you should select this volume. This volume of test, it should lie in between the volumes which are used for recording the standard solution. So these are the volumes of your standard drug. So you need to select your test volume in such a way that it lies in between these. So ideally you can select say 0.4 ml of your test. It is recommended that you repeat this dose of your test, say 0.4 ml, and you take two responses and then take the average of it and then use it for calculation. Okay. Now after recording all the responses, stop the kymograph, label your tracings appropriately, which will be shown in the further slides. Measure the heights of the responses in millimeters, you are supposed to measure them, and tabulate the result. Next step is to plot a graph of log concentration versus percent response. Okay, log concentration on the x-axis and percent response on the y-axis. Find out the concentration of your test solution from the graph. There are certain calculations which will be discussed in further slides, and calculate the concentration in terms of micrograms per ml. Okay, we'll see the calculations also a little later. Now this is how your responses will look like. Okay, so these are the doses which we have selected, okay, for your DRC of standard. So this is your DRC of standard. From here till here is your DRC of standard, and T indicates your test response. Okay, so first thing which we have discussed on the procedure is to record the DRC of standard. When you start recording the DRC of standard, first response is supposed to be repeated to check the stability of your tissue. So 0.1 is repeated over here till you get the same heights. Okay, so here you can see the heights are written. Okay, so for 0.1 ml for both the responses it is 5 mm. So this indicates that your tissue is stable. Okay, so this indicates the equipotency. Two consecutive responses, one after the other, must be same or almost similar height. So that indicates your tissue is stable, and this particular phenomenon is known as equipotency. Repetition of the first dose till you get equal heights. Now this is the way you are supposed to measure the height of your response. That is the point where your response starts actually, okay, till the maximum height of your response. So you need to extend a line over here, okay, and then you can measure it with the scale. Don't measure it from here to here. Okay, so extend the line and then measure this straight perpendicular to your baseline. Okay, so ideally this is the way you are supposed to measure your height of the response. Okay, this from here to here you need not measure the height, because sometimes the baseline may change. So ideally you should start measuring your height from where the response is starting. Okay, so this is the way to measure the height. So this is to do with the equipotency. We have got two responses with the same heights. So next dose is added, which has given 8 mm height. So 0.4 is the next dose with 12 mm height. Then comes a 0.8 ml with 16 mm height, 1.6 ml dose with 19 mm height, and 3.2 ml dose with the 24 mm height. Okay, now at the end of your DRC of acetylcholine, again 1.6 is repeated. Okay, that is 1.6 of your standard. So this particular phenomenon is known as reproducibility. That is repeating a submaximal dose. Submaximal, that is which should not be your ceiling dose. Okay, your ceiling is not obtained, because 1.6 is 19 and 3.2 is 24. That means ceiling is not obtained over here. If this response was 19 mm or less than that, then it indicates the ceiling. So your ceiling is not obtained, so you can repeat 1.6 ml dose over here, which is the submaximal. This is the maximum dose, so submaximal dose you have selected. Supposing if the reproducibility is obtained with these two doses, then you need to repeat the 0.8 ml. That is ideal. Okay, so this is to do with the reproducibility, repetition of the submaximal dose to check again the stability of your tissue. So this completes your DRC of standard. Thereafter you can record the doses of test. So ideally 2 doses of test are recorded and the average is calculated. So here I have just shown one response of 0.4 ml I have selected. So which is lying in between these doses of your standard. Okay, not only that, the height of your test must also lie in between the heights of your standard. So the lowest height of your standard is 5 mm and the highest height is the 24 mm. So your test height should be in between these two, that is 5 mm and 24 mm. So once you have recorded the DRC, you need to record your results or tabulate your results. So this is the observation table. So the concentration of the standard acetylcholine is 100 microgram per ml, which is prepared. So it's a known concentration to you. So using this you are finding out the concentration of your unknown solution, that is your test solution. Okay, so here you have recorded the DRC of your standard acetylcholine. Okay, so certain doses are selected: 0.1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.8, 1.6 and 3.2. Okay, so from this you need to find out the concentration in micrograms. So now you know that the known concentration of standard, that is 100 microgram per ml. That is 1 ml of your acetylcholine contains 100 micrograms of acetylcholine. So therefore 0.1 ml contains 10 micrograms per ml. Okay, so and so on. You can calculate for the rest of the doses. Okay, from this you need to calculate the log concentration. That is, find out the log of your concentration. So ideally, rather than plotting the concentration on the x-axis, you can plot the log concentration. The reason behind this is your curve will become more straighter when you plot log concentration. So also, if you can see that the values are reduced. Okay, if you can see over here, the value was up to 320. So plotting this on a graph becomes very difficult. Whereas when you are converting it to a smaller value, the plotting on the graph paper also becomes easier. So that is the reason why log concentration is usually calculated and it is plotted on the x-axis. Okay. Next is the height of the contraction of your responses. So at 0.1 ml the height of contraction was 5 mm. That's what we have seen in the responses also. It's 5, 8, 12, 16, 19 and 24. So that's what is recorded over here. 5 for 0.1. 8 for 0.2, 12 for 0.4, 16 for 0.8, 19 for 1.6, 24 for 3.2, and the test response showed the height of 10 mm, which is recorded over here. Now from this you need to calculate the percent response. Okay, now to calculate this percent response, here you need to consider the response with the greatest height as 100%. Okay, so out of all these responses heights which you obtain, the greatest height is considered as 100%. So that in our case is 24. So 24 is considered as 100%, and accordingly all the other percent responses are calculated. So 24 mm is 100%, therefore 5 mm is dash. So it is calculated by simple cross multiplication. So you get all these values over here. Okay. So this is how you need to record your responses and calculate the percent response, which is actually supposed to be plotted on your graph. Okay. Now this is how the graph will look like. Okay, so we have already discussed earlier in the procedure that you are supposed to plot a graph of log concentration versus percent response. That is, log concentration on the x-axis and percent response on the y-axis. Okay, origin is supposed to be marked, then the axis is supposed to. So while plotting, you can select an appropriate scale for plotting your graph. That is, on y-axis you can select a scale of 1 centimeter is equal to 20%, and on x-axis you can select it as 1 centimeter is equal to 1. Okay, since it does not have any unit. Okay, so likewise you can plot each and every point over here. Okay, in your on your graph paper. Okay, x-axis you can plot log concentration, and on the y-axis percent response. So if you can see over here, the percent response for the first one is 20.83 is what we have obtained for 0.1. So on x-axis 1, that is log concentration of 0.1 is 1, and percent response is 20.83. Okay, for similarly it is calculated for all. Okay, and it is noted down over here. So as we can see that these particular points are also supposed to be rounded off. Okay, so 20.83 will be plotted at 21. 33.33 should be plotted at 33. Okay, anything above 0.5 should be rounded off to further greater number. Next is 50. Next is 66.67. That will become 67. Then 79.17. That should be plotted at 79 itself. And the last one is 100%. Okay, so likewise you can plot all the points. So this is how your curve will look like. Next is interpolate the percent response of your test substance. So that is 41.67. So it is 42. So you can find out where 42 is. Okay, it is 42. So you can interpolate that on your curve and note down what is the value of log concentration of your test. So it is found to be 1.45 in this case. So this is what we have noted down over here. Concentration is unknown to us. So log concentration we have found out from the graph because we know the height of contraction. So by utilizing percent response we have found out what is the log concentration of your test. The next part is the calculations. Okay. Now from graph we have found out the log concentration of your unknown solution, that is 1.45. Okay. So now next step is to convert it into micrograms. Okay. So since it is a log concentration, we can find out the anti-log of 1.45, which is 28.18. So this will give you the exact concentration of your acetylcholine in your unknown solution. But what is the dose of unknown sample which we have selected? It is 0.4 ml. So this concentration which we have obtained over here, it is present in 0.4 ml of your test sample. So 0.4 ml of test sample contains 28.18 micrograms of ACH, that is acetylcholine. So from this we can calculate very easily how much of your drug is present in 1 ml. So 1 ml of test sample will contain 28.18 multiplied by 1 divided by 0.4. That is, by simple cross multiplication we can easily obtain the concentration of your unknown sample, that is 70.45 micrograms per ml. So whatever concentration we have obtained, we have converted into micrograms per ml with simple cross multiplication. So the result of the experiment is that the unknown concentration of the given unknown sample of acetylcholine was found to be 70.45 micrograms per ml. Okay, so the aim of your experiment is accomplished. That was to find out the unknown, the concentration of an unknown sample of acetylcholine. So that's what is accomplished over here. These are the references. Thank you.